All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Junwei, will be your MC tonight. Welcome to the Zoom session tonight. The session is hosted by AdrianYeo Chartered Accounting Firm, together with EasyView. Let me have a brief introduction on our firm. First, AdrianYeo Chartered Accounting Firm. They are a mid-sized firm located in Kelana Jaya, about 100 staff. But to me, they are really successful because they are one of the top 20 accounting firms in the industry. So they provide one-stop center for SME. They have more than 2,000 clients with support team of young, energetic professionals. So when you have anything regarding to accounting issue, please do not hesitate to approach to them. Next, let me introduce you a bit about EasyView. EasyView is a comprehensive online view writing platform. We provide view writing service online we emphasize on simple, easy, and effectiveness. Our assistant is to promote view writing service and not letting the unclaimed asset to be on the rise anymore. And later on, our lawyer Hao will sharing on this matter later. So we make view writing is at affordable prices, and this is okay. We make view is at affordable prices and do not let the long and lengthy process to affect their family lifestyle. So tonight, our speaker Hao, lawyer Hao, he is graduated from Northumbria University. So he admitted as an advocate and solicitor in the High Court of Malaysia at 2011. So his previous experience was with General Insurance Company, Trustee Company, before he admitted to be advocate and solicitor. So Mr. Lawyer Hao, he specialized in conveyancing matters, estate matter, and also civil litigation cases. And also, he is also a legal advisor for EasyView. Without further ado, let's pass the session to our lawyer Hao tonight. Lawyer Hao, on your right.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, I believe that you have your dinner. So if you have your dinner, so just relax, sit back, and just relax in front of the monitor or your mobile phone. Then we'll share our seminar today. So thank you for attending to our talk today. So what we are going to share today is the topic is I believe that most of you might be very interested. The importance of making a will in times of the COVID-19 pandemic. So many of you would like to have a will, but most of you don't know what is the purpose of having a will. So, but before that, I'm going to share with you an articles this reported in Malay Mail. Okay, this particular article was reported on the 11th of September 2021. Whereby their total 90 billion worth of asset was unclaimed by Malaysian. Yes, you don't see wrongly, it's 90 billion. It's really a lot of money. So the issue is why Malaysians, they are so rich to the extent that they don't want to go and claim their estate. So either they are very rich or they don't know the deceased persons, their family members have this particular bank's account or whatever, and which cost them, they don't know where to claim. So which they cost them, they don't even know, they don't even go and claim it. So I think the later is the chances for the later is higher lah. So why? But why the family member they don't know it? The main reason is, I believe, the deceased they don't make a will, and the family members they don't know it, and which caused the whole things go to the unclaimed monies, and eventually you'll go to a government. So the government will be very happy. So for those people who never go and claim the asset, eventually you'll go to unclaimed money and back to government. So many of you might wonder what happened when someone died or someone passed away. What happened to the estate? So basically, the asset will be frozen. So many of you might thinking that the deceased estate will be passed or transferred to the next of kin automatically. Sorry, there's no such thing. You have to defrost through a legal procedure where I'm going to share with you later part. So your estate, including fixed deposit, car, bungalow, your bank accounts, your CDS account, your all palm tree or your whatever all palms or your current account, or your factory loss, all will be frozen when you pass away, except three things. The first thing is your trust money, whatever trust account, that private trust that you have set up. Second thing is your insurance. And the third thing is your EPF. All these three assets, it won't be frozen. So some of you might wonder, what happens if someone pass away intestate? Some might thought that the estate might be confiscated by the government and you'll go back to a government. Sorry, no such thing, no ways. So the government will simply take your money, sir. So when a person pass away intestate means that when they pass away without will. So the family member, they have to sit down, they need to have a family meeting to decide who they want to appoint as the administrator of the estate. So basically to manage the estate, diseased estate. So once the family member, they sit down, they know, they have decided who to appoint, then next we have to determine how much is the value of the estate. If the value of the estate is 2 million and above, then we lawyer will apply the grant of LA to the High Court. So normally it takes about 1 to 2 years times for the application. It depends on how fast the family member is able to generate the list of assets and liabilities. So of course, when we apply to High Court, 2 sureties is needed. So it's the must, unless of course sometimes we lawyer we are able to get some exclusion, dispensation from the court, but not all the times the court will allow it. So once we got all this done, normally the court will grant what we call grant of letters of administrations. We call it, in short, we call it LA. So if the value of the estate is 2 million and below, we call it small estate. So if it's a small estate, normally we will apply in the land office. So land office, it takes quite a while. Normally, it will take those days before MCO, it takes about 1 to 2 years time for the hearing to be conducted by the land office officer. But because of currently there's a pandemic and a lot of people pass away, and also there's a MCO, it'll take a much longer time. So I heard some of my friends, they filed the case in land office last year. Until today, they haven't even got a hearing date. So when they are unable to get a hearing date, it simply means that they cannot appoint the grant of LA. So if the family members don't need the money to sustain their life, so still okay, doesn't matter. But imagine if the family members, they need the money in the banks for all their daily, to sustain the family expenses, then the family will be in a deep financially trouble. So if the asset is below 600K and is only applicable to a movable asset, then they can always apply to Amanah Rakyat. So Amanah Rakyat also, I heard from my friends, the father passed away last 2 weeks and also below 600K. So they tried to apply to Amanah, but the officer told them that now it's really, really bad because a lot of people, they pass away in that state, and many of them, they go to Amanah Rakyat because it's only movable asset. So this is how it works. Apply, have a family meeting, appoint one administrator, and that next step will be distribute the estate. So how are you going to distribute it? No raise in Malaysia, we have it what we call a distribution order, or distribution act, whereby the intention is to help those people who pass away without a will to distribute the estate. So how does it look like? Okay, it should be something like this. Okay, this is the table whereby you like it, you don't like it. You have to, when someone pass away in that state, means without a will, we have to follow the table to distribute the estate. So if someone pass away, no spouse, means they are not married, and there's no children, so they only have parents. So 100% will automatically go to parents. So if someone pass away without children, only spouse and parents, then 50% will go to parents, 50% will go to spouse. So spouse and parents will share equally. So if someone pass away with parents still around, their spouse and also their kids, so basically 1/4 will go to a parents, 1/4 will go to spouse, and half will go to the children. So if someone pass away the parents are no longer around, only left behind the spouse and the kids. So 1/3 will go to the spouse and 1/3, 2/3 will go to the kids. Let's say they have 4 kids, so 2/3 will be distributed equally among the 4 kids. So if someone pass away, there's no parents, no spouse, only kids, no 100% will go to kids. If the parents and kids are not around, only left behind the spouse, then 100% will go to spouse. So if someone pass away, there's no parents, no spouse, no kids, unmarried. So if there's siblings, then then you go to distribute to the sibling in equal portions. So this is how it looked like, the distribution, the table generally. So whether they like it, they don't like it, so it has to be distributed in this way. So some people, they might thought that, okay, if the person passed away, they have like 2 houses, so left behind 1 spouse and a parent. So they might mistakenly thought that, okay, parent will take 1 house, spouse will take another house. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. So normally how it works is, house, one property A, you have half will go to the parents, half will go to the spouse. So property B, same thing, half will go to the parents, half will go to the spouse. So it works like it works like that. Then if there's a money in account A, then it should be distributed equally. Examples are, if there's no children, but if there's children, then the children's name going to be in also. Okay. So when someone pass away without a will, so this will be the consequence, which we have handled so many cases where people pass away, and until today we are not able to execute the whole things. Why? The first thing first, they have the issue in appointment of administrator. So some of them, they until the parent passed away 6 months ago, until today they still haven't had a chance to have a family meetings and yet to decide who will be appointed as the administrator. So it will cause delay, of course, no choice. And of course, if the parents, they are multi-millionaire, they will work very fast because they know that it's a multi-million-dollar estate. So everyone will be fighting to become an administrator. They won't really fight to be the administrator. And each of them, they don't trust each other because they worry the siblings might take up the whole estate without their knowledge. So, or if the parents is a medium lower class people, not much savings, of course, the children might be quite reluctant to be the administrator also. So they might be thinking, why do I take all this effort to go and do all these things when there's nothing much left? So they tend to delay the whole thing. So once they delay, then it end up it will be delayed for 30 years. So end up the money will go to the unclaimed money, and end up the money will go back to the government. So the government is very happy if you don't go and claim it. So some, even worse, the siblings, among the siblings, they cannot see eye to eye. So always we have this issue of appointment administrator, and this is the part that always delay the most. Second, the family member might have difficulty in locating the asset. Why? If someone passed away in the estate, examples, parents, so I don't even know how, let's say myself, I don't even know what my parents, what banks accounts they have in their banks. So most of the time we expect or we assume our next of kin, they might know where our estate, but in fact they don't know. So most of the time, this second part is another things that where most of our cases stuck. I would say 8 out of 10 cases of our cases stuck because of this. Because in order to apply for grant of IA, we need the list of asset and the list of liability. The family member, if the family member are unable to compile the list of asset, then because they need times to go and locate, go and check their correspondence, go and check all the letters, the documents in the deceased rooms or whatever, to find all those informations, compile it, then only they are able to give it to us. It takes a lot of time. So we have instances recently whereby the family member literally go and fight with the this bank officer because the sister passed away intestate, and then they know that the sister have this particular house or property in KL. So they call up the banks and ask the banks for the bank's account just for the reason they need to pay for the installments. They are ready to pay, but problem is the bank officer, they refuse to give them whatever information which is available, simply because they are bound by the mafia. And of course, the family member, they get very upset, but you cannot blame the bank's officer because they are doing their job actually. If any Tom, Dick, and Harry come to call the banks and then walk into any of the branch to get the information, and the bank's officer simply release to them, they'll be in trouble, deep troubles. So they cannot simply, so they'll ask the family members, please go and apply for GRA. And then only they will release the information to the administrator. But the issue here is we need the information to compile the asset before we apply for the LA. So it's like chicken and egg lah. We always stuck here and there. So things are not able to move. So we are still in the midst of sorting out the issues for clients. So hopefully that we are able to help them to solve the problems as soon as possible. So needless to say about parents, children, sometimes between husband and wife, I don't even know how many bank accounts that my wife have. So family members, they will have a very, very difficult in locating all the assets. So which is called eventually all contribute to unclaimed monies. So if you don't go and claim it. So the third one is you are not able to distribute your asset according to the wills. So some of people, they have specifically like property A, they want to give to a specific child, property B, they want to give a specific another second child. Sorry, based on according to the Distribution Act, you can't do that. So everyone will have their equal shares. So whether you like it or not. So I have another instances like few months ago, one particular client, she called me and then she said that the mom just passed away. And before the mom passed away, she specifically mentioned to her that she doesn't want to give that particular property to one of the siblings because the siblings has been taking too much from the family, and she doesn't want to give this particular asset to these particular siblings. So the first question I asked her, does your mom did a will? No. So then I told her it's too bad. Then we have to follow the Distribution Act. So and then she went ahead, she asked me, hey, what if I purposely or intentionally neglect her from the list? So the administrator will have to take a risk of being sued by these particular siblings. If these particular siblings, she knows that she's entitled to all this, definitely she will bring this particular case to court, and this case will end up in court. So we hope that everyone's tonight, you get the message. Please, we always hope that among the family members, we like to have a peaceful minds, and everyone will happily will have a happy life in the families. But please avoid all these things. So it will then lead to complicated legal procedure. So which will cause the delay, as I explained to you earlier, and it will cause eventually your cost of family members will not be able to inherit your estate very smoothly. So there was one particular thing that I found very curious, especially Chinese. Chinese is a very special type of races where Chinese work very hard day and night. So also they are very stingy and spending. So keep all the monies in the banks. So nowadays no one keep the monies under the bed or keep in the Milo tin. So the problem is they don't like to plan all the estate in advance. So suddenly when they pass away, the children don't know where to locate or don't know where the father has a bank account. So they work so hard because the reason they work so hard is because they don't want their next generation suffer what they have gone through earlier, the difficult or struggle of the life that they have, the difficult life that they experienced before. But the problem is because they don't really go and plan it well. So eventually the children is not able to inherit or to get to enjoy the wealth that they save or they keep during their lifetime. So what's the point for working so hard, right? So the moral of the story is, please go and do a will. So many of you might thought, actually, what is a will? A will actually is a legal document whereby the intention is one day when you are not around, you will let your family members to know what is your estate and how are you going to distribute your estate. Okay, so some of you you might not understand the condition of making a will. So some of you might think that making a will, you need to be a very filthy rich. You need to own at least a few properties before you making a will. No, actually anyone can make a will. So long as you have a bank account, you can actually make a will. And of course, you must fulfill the criteria. The first one is you must be 18 years old and above. If you are from West Malaysia or you are Sarawakian, and you must, or if you are from Sabah, you must be 21 years old and above lah. So the second is you must be sound mind. The third one is the will must be in written form. You must handwrite, or you must type it out, or you must print it out. You cannot talk. So if you just speak it out verbally, sorry, that's not a will. That's the last word. Okay, so the most important is after you prepare a will, you type it out. Don't forget, please sign the last page of the will. Or some people, they are not able to sign, so please put a thumbprint at the last page to make the will valid. So today I'm going to share with you why it's so important to have this will. So, but of course, before that, when you draft a will, there are 4 important points that you must be take note. The first thing is appointment of executor. So this I'm going to share with you later. So how you appoint executor. So what's the obligation of executor? The second thing is list down all your assets. And the third thing is how you're going to distribute your asset to the particular beneficiary. Because everyone have their own thought, and there's no specific formulas on the distributions. And the fourth one is if you have a minor, means a child below 18, so you might need to appoint one guardian for your minor. Okay, so next we're going to move on. One of the most important point to have a will is you can actually appoint a trusted person to become the executor. So this particular person, we call it executor. Actually, executor is a key person who manage the estate when you're not around. So when you're not around, the estate would automatically transfer to the beneficiary. It must have someone to do all this work, i.e., to engage a lawyer, to go and apply for grant of probate, and then to notify all the respective authorities to do the transfer of the property. So the executor has the power to do all these things, including to go to the bank to withdraw the money. Of course, they cannot withdraw and put it into his own personal account. They have to open what we call estate account. It's a trust account actually. So executor play a very important role in managing and distributing the estate. So if a person who don't really work or try to delay the work, or someone who is not trustworthy, so the beneficiary will be suffer eventually. So that's why there are a few criteria that normally we will highlight to the testator when they want to appoint an executor. So of course, this is the summary of the obligation of executor. First thing first, list down the deceased estate, because we have to prepare a list of asset and liabilities before we go and apply for grant probate. So next, we approach us solicitors. We will prepare a cost paper to apply for grant probate, where he will have to sign a cost paper, and he will attend the court. And next, once he got a grant probate, then he got to pay off the deceased debts, including personal tax. So we are going into details later part. So number 4, the last part will be distribute the estate after paying all the debts. So a person who to be appointed as executor is must be a person who is trustworthy, fair, and responsible. This is a very simple criteria. So you know your family member well. We don't know. So you know whether which particular son is able to carry out this kind of responsibility. So So you appoint them to be the executor. You choose them, yeah. So normally we don't recommend someone who is bankrupt or someone who is below 18 or someone who is too old. Why we don't recommend a bankrupt? Why a person is made bankrupt? Simple reason is because he don't know how to handle his financial. So if the estate is a huge amount of estate, so suddenly bankrupt is being appointed to be executor, then suddenly he sees such a big amount, then he might have different thought. So normally we don't recommend to appoint someone who is bankrupt to be the executor, or someone who is too young, below 18. So basically, a person who is below 18, we are considered as a minor. They are not adult yet. So his guardians might have to do the job on his behalf. Or someone is too old. Why? We don't recommend someone to appoint the father or the mother to become the executor. Simple reason is the father or the mother, the chances for the father or mother pass away before him is higher. So when they pass away, then you have to rewrite the will again to appoint a new executor. So normally we advise someone that is a spouse or someone that close to you and someone who is trustworthy. And executor, it can be beneficial as well. So normally we advise the testator to appoint the executor who also for beneficiary. Why? Because if this person, he knows that eventually he's going to get something from the estate, he will be very motivated. But if you appoint someone to become executor, do all the jobs and don't pay him anything, do you think that he will carry out his job properly? I doubt it. So people will tend to delay, put things aside. So the estate will eventually will never resolve. So you end up have a lot of problems also. Okay, so next, that's another most important things that your next generation will be able to know what do you have during your lifetime. So normally we will advise the testator to list down a testator person a testator is a person who write the will. So normally we advise the clients to write down in details what do they have currently. Of course, not future current one. The future one we talk later. So the current one, what I said he has, including his bank accounts, car, his property. If he's a businessman, he set a company with his business partner, then he share in the company. So some people they have jewelries, some people they have they invest in share. They can write in the wills, the CDS account. Or some people they invest in the unit trust. They can also write in the will. So okay, there's one important point that I would like to highlight to some of you. When you list down the asset in your will, the will is your personal thing. If a car, the registered owner of a car is your company, please don't put it in the will, because whatever registered under your company is your company asset. Technically speaking or legally speaking, it doesn't belong to your personal asset. So please don't put it in the will. So examples, some of the businessmen, they like to do investment. They sell a company to purchase a particular property, a factory or shop lot. Please don't put in a will, but you can will the shares in your company. So technically speaking, you own the company, you don't own the asset. The asset is belong to the company. So company and shareholders or directors are always separate entity. So I believe that later Mr. Adrian will be able to share with you more on this part. So whatever owned by a company is belong to company, not belongs to your personal. So please don't put it under your will. So of course, what you can view is your shares in the company. So basically, there are a few things that you don't have to list down. Normally, your EPF, your insurance policy, or your private trust, where you have already set up for a particular private trustee company. So if any of you have not done your nomination with your insurance or your EPF, please go and do it now. So if you have not done the nomination, you may put it in the will, to inform your next generation how you arrange it. But normally we will advise you to go and do a nomination, because with the nominations, what your family member can do is just bring a death cert without having going through all the process. just bring a death cert to that particular insurance company, or EPF, you're able to release the money to your next of kin. Okay, so normally when you want to prepare a will or you want to write a will, normally we advise you to prepare some documents. So the IC copy of your old IC, your executor, beneficiary. The reason is because some of us, we might not know the full IC number of our, what's it called, our spouse, maybe. So name you know lah, IC number sometimes we will know lah. So the property details, some of us, we might not know the title details. We don't go and memorize all these things. So motor vehicle, if you have any motor vehicle, please bring along your registration card. If you have bank accounts, you can actually bring your account book or your statements just for reference purpose. If you have company, you set up company or partners, you can always bring your company forms. So this is not compulsory. Actually, it's for the reference purpose, so that whoever write the will for you, they won't have any typo in the will. So sometimes clients, they don't really double check. So it's an additional, I mean, it's a protection for the whatever the will writer or the lawyers to double check to make sure that there's no typo. So, but it's not compulsory. So sometimes when people, they're lazy to go and locate all these documents, they just type in WhatsApp, and we notice that there's a typo in the WhatsApp. So if you type wrongly, we wouldn't know. So we just write it there in the will wrongly also. So when the testator, when they pass away, when you want to execute, then we notice that there's a typo there. The will is still valid, but we have to do extra work to go and justify all these things. Okay, next. So this thing is also another important point that you need to have a will, that you are able to distribute your asset to according to your wish. So just now what I shared with you, if someone pass away intestate, so all the estate will distributed according to the Distribution Act. So if you have written a will, you can actually give your property to a particular person that you intend to give. So some of you might be mistaken that beneficiaries, I must give it to only my family members. Actually, not necessarily. You can give it to anyone, including your friend also can, no problems. So even it's not a blood-related person also can. But most of us, we work so hard for next generation. We will be giving it to our next of kin, our kids and our spouse. So normally for minor, if you have a minor in your family, normally we'll advise you to set up a trust. So the reason because is to protect your minor's interest. So whoever become executor is human being. So human being, when they see money, they might have a different thought. So eventually the one who suffer is the children is going to suffer. So of course, with all these trust, if you set up trust, the money will be held by a trustee company. So trustee company, they won't run away, that's for sure. So we leave it to some of the advisors to advise you all accordingly. So this is all about estate admin. So it's not about what we call, it's a pre-planning. So to avoid unnecessary issue happens. Actually, the law is very simple, but human being is very complicated. So that's the problems. Okay, next will be appointment of guardians. So some of you might have children. Okay, then. Okay, so children, and the children is below 18 years old. So normally we will advise you to appoint a guardian. A guardian is someone who, what's that called? Someone who will take care of the children if one day both you and your wife are not around. So who you want them to take care of the children? So normally is someone's related or close to your children. It can be a grandma, it can be a grandpa, so it can be the uncle, auntie. So at least is a trustworthy person and responsible, someone who's willing to take care of the children. So when something happens to you and the children is still below 18, so this is something very important also, and you are able to do that in the will. So imagine if you pass on without a proper will, then If it's a multi-million dollar property asset, then everyone will be fighting to take care of our children. But if you nothing much left for the children, then nobody will want to take care of the children. That's another thing. So estate planning is very important. So when you write a will, then you start thinking of all these things. Okay, next, this is another important point whereby we always advise our clients. So most of us, especially businessmen, we purchase a few properties. The reason is for our next generations. So some of you, you'll purchase it under your name. So eventually you are going to pass it to your children. So of course, there are few methods. There are normally two ways to do it. The first way is love and affections. You can always transfer the property by way of love and affections. So of course, that's subject to the property must be free from encumbrances. Means properties there's no outstanding loan. So some of you might mistakenly thought that, hey, love and affections, I transfer to my property, I don't have to pay stamp duty, right? So I'm sorry, you still have to pay the stamp duty according to a market value. But of course, the government is not so cruel that you have to pay full. They give you some discount, 50% discount. So, but still, it is very expensive. Let me share with you. Let's say the market value of the property is 1 million, which is quite common nowadays. So for 1 million, stamp duty, estimated stamp duty will be paid is 24,000. So 24,000, even you get a 50% discount, you still have to pay 12,000. Just purely for stamp duty, sorry, I no discount on this one. So imagine if it's a 10 million worth of the market value of the property is worth 10 million. So the stamp duty estimate, this I'm giving estimate, is stamp duty, estimated stamp duty is 384,000. Yes, yeah, you don't see wrongly. It's 384,000. So of course, government still give you discount, 50% discount, but the stamp duty that you're going to pay is still 192,000. So let's say we are taking this legal fees incurred for 1 million is about 8,000. Of course, various state and different areas, they will have a different registration fee, different charges, different legal fees. This is only for reference purpose only. So hypothetically, we take this 8,000. So for 10 million property, we take about 18,000. So if you total up the legal cost incurred, so you take 12,000 plus 8,000, that will be about 20,000 for one per unit, one unit. So if it's a 10 million property, so you end up, you have to pay 210,000 for one particular unit. So if you have like 2, 3, 1 million property, so this figure will have times 2 or 3. So most of the time, we will do a simple calculations for budgeting purpose for clients, wherever they want to do a love and affections, so that they have a budgeting. Because many of them, they got surprised when we do this calculation for them, and when we tell them that stamp duty to be incurred, it seems like they don't know about it. So we have to let them heads up in advance so that they are prepared this budget to pay this. So always I will share with my clients, there is always alternative way. So what is the alternative way is to transfer the property through the estate. So how does it work? Normally is they prepare a will, they write a will. So when they pass away, so once they pass away, the executor will have to go and apply for grant probate, and executor will have to transfer the property according to the will. So hypothetically, this is our purely estimation. Grant probate application for the legal fees is about 5,000. So the estimated legal fees to transfer for property per unit, we put it about 5,000, regardless what's a unit per unit. So the stamp duty incurred is about 10 ringgit only. So yeah, right. Unless someone's they renounce their right, they want to give it to someone else. That's a very different story. But if it's the transfer of the properties according to will, is 10 ringgit. So the legal cost incurred is about 10,000 per unit. So imagine if you have like, let's say like 3 properties. So you take this grant probate, you only apply once. But for transfer of property, you times 3. So 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. So it's about 20,000. But compared to the earlier one, this one, if you have 3 units of the property, so you take 20,000 times 3, so you have to prepare about 60,000. So compared to 10,000 or 20,000, so you can save a lot actually. You can save a lot for the stamp duty. So this is always another alternative way lah. So of course, there's some particular reason whereby clients want to transfer the property, they don't mind paying the stamp duty. First, we are okay. We just do our work and then we will just charge our legal fees accordingly. So it depends on client's intention. So we always provide options for clients and eventually they are the one to make up the decision. They tell us what they want to do. So we have a conclusion here. If the transfer of property is by way of law of action, estimated 20,000. So if we transfer by way of estate property, the legal cost incurred is estimated about 10,000. So we leave it to the clients, how they want to manage, how they want to do it. So we'll let them come back to us. We only take instruction eventually because it's not our estate and it's not our property, it's client's property. So they always have the discretion how they want to deal with it. Okay, so next is a very important point which I've seen some of the cases it happens to some of my clients, actually 1 or 2 clients. So the will, the main reason we make a will is to avoid the family dispute. Okay, this is the scenario, typical scenario. It may happen in your family and my family. Okay, in Malaysia, generally, husband love the wife so much. So normally when the husband purchase property, they like to put the wife's name. So they thought that one day when the husband not around, then the wife, his portion will be given to a wife, or the wife will take over the property. So I don't know why they have this kind of perception, but it's entirely wrong. So when you have a joint name, husband and wife, under the law, we will deem it as a 50-50%. So husband own 50% and wife own 50%. This is how it works. So one day, if the husband pass away for whatever reason, and it always happens because men work very pressure because men got very pressure for the work, or they have a lot of entertainments, they like to go and do a lot of drinking, smoking, all these things. So that's why normally men pass away earlier compared to wife. So okay, one day suddenly the husband pass away, accident or whatever reason, and without will, intestate. So this is going to happen. So when the husband pass away, intestate means no will. So the distribution act is going to kick in. So like what I shared with you just now, once a person die intestate, so the wife is left behind, the wife, the children, and the parents. So the wife will be entitled 1/4, the children will be entitled half, no issue. The main issue is the parents. So the parent is also entitled to 1/4, okay, 1/4 of the estate. So if it's a small estate, like only worth about 100,000, so the parents will get back 25,000, no problem, no issue. What if estate is a multi-million-dollar estate? Let's say 10 million. So 10 million, 25% is 2.5 million. Ladies and gentlemen, 2.5 million for a lower income family is like striking a jackpot already. So the parents, some of the parents, they might think that, okay, this the children, this is the hard work for the wife and the husband, and the children are still young. They should be able to give it back to the family. But there are another way of thought is, some of the parents, they might thinking that, look, I work so hard to raise my child, my kids, and now they're adult. This is their entitlement. They don't want to give it back to the children. That's all the issue arise. Or there's alternative issues is the deceased might have siblings. So the siblings try to hide the parents, and because they know that if the parents also die intestate, eventually the 1/4 of the parent share will go back to the siblings. So meaning to say that they are also entitled to the deceased husband's estate lah. So they can actually get some money from there. So that's why they intentionally go and hide the parents and then talk terms with the wife. So sometimes the wife, she might be left with no choice and to take up monies to go and buy back from the parents for the shares that they are entitled to. Very funny, right? Husband and wife, they work so hard over the years, 20, 30 years, and they build their fortune. And just because the husband died intestate, and they have to face all these problems. So just because the husband never do a proper will, and this eventually caused all these family issues. So of course, I wouldn't say all families lah. Some families, they are in good terms. Parents they are willing to give it back to the original the wife. Then no issue. But if the parents, they have a different thought and the sibling have a different thought for monies, I would say people are willing to do every single thing. So normally the law is very simple, but the people is always the very complicated one. When they see money, everything change. So siblings also, what is that called in Cantonese? So this is what's happening. So you don't laugh. It happens to one of my clients. My clients really experience this. So eventually they have to go to court and talk terms, and they have to use money to go and settle. Because if you die in that state, nothing much you can do. Yeah. Distribution Act can be kicked in. Okay. So next will be resolving the estate. So if you have a will, of course, the executor will be able to resolve it in a very fast and simple manner. So for instance, this is a brief legal procedure, how it works. If someone dies estate. So if a person dies with a will, so in the will, normally they will have already appoint executor to manage the estate. So the sibling, they don't have to fight. So it's already appointed. So unless the executor, they renounce themselves, they say, I don't want to carry out the work, they will give it next. The sub-executor will carry out the work. So what they have to do is to come and see us, and then we'll prepare a cost paper, prepare a list of asset and liabilities. So if everything is properly listed in the will, so our job will be much simpler. We just copy and paste. We just follow exactly what is in the will. Unless the will is not updated, then that is another different story. So once we have prepared the cost paper, the executor come sign it, and then we file it in court. So next, we have to wait for the hearing date for grant probate. So last week, one of my friends just told me he got a hearing date within a week, 1 week after he filed. That's super fast. Super fast. Normally, it takes about 1 month. So for the court to grant the hearing date. So those days, conventional way, we have to go to court, and then the court registrar, they will grant the grant probate. But because of current pandemic, so we are not able to go to court. So some of you might thought, then in my court delay, actually court also they are upgrading. So we will conduct hearing via Zoom. Yeah, right. It's Zoom. So what the court registrar, what they're going to do is we have a Zoom room and Zoom meet. We have a meeting Zoom. So they have the executor. They have to bring the IC over the Zoom. They show the IC. We show the original death cert. So the court might need the original will to be deposited to them before the hearing. So what we do is we just do it according to the court procedure. So Zoom meeting is conducted, the grant probate will be granted. So it's as simple as that. So once GP is granted, the executor got to pay all the debts, and once they pay the debts, then they can distribute the estate accordingly. So it makes the executor task much more simple. Okay, so this is another important thing that I would like to share with you. Many of us, especially those businessmen, so we will tend to think very hard to expand our business, but without knowing how much liability that actually incurred. So a lot of us we like to buy property, especially currently. So some of you might see property is cheap, so they just go and buy it. But many of you, I believe that you take a loan, no one will buy property cash. So if some of you plan to buy property cash, then I would say good luck to you because AdrianYeo will come after you very, very soon. Unless you have a very proper income tax submission, then you're all right. So what happens when you purchase a property and there's a loan? So only when you do sit down and do bill writing, then you're able to list down all your assets and your liabilities. So the moment you list down all your properties, automatically you think about your liabilities, your loan. So a property before your settlement is a liability, not your asset. So one day, if you're not around, your family members got to pay for the debts. So if so unfortunate, there's no MRTA, there's no insufficient life insurance to cover all these debts, then the family member will be in trouble. So, okay, first thing first, this is the liabilities that there's a potential liabilities that may incur one day when you pass away. So by doing wills, you will start thinking how to manage your estate. When you start thinking one day you're not around, so what happened to all these things? So you start to have monies, or you start to find ways to manage it. This is what we call estate administrations. So first thing first is the funeral expenses. Like Chinese, most of us, we know how expensive is our funeral expenses. Easy will cost you 30 to 50,000. So all this is all cash money where you cannot hutang all these things. So they got to pay in all fully paid before they come and do all the proper setup. So this is the first number one expenses to be incurred when someone passes away. The second thing is a personal loan. So many of you might think that, hey, all these credit card debts are no need to pay. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this. The bank has a right to go after the executor to recover whatever their debts. When someone passes away, doesn't mean that they doesn't have to pay the debts. The next of kin is supposed to pay, right? Sometimes the banks may just overlook it. So it doesn't mean that they don't have the right to actually to go and recover the debts. So another thing is legal fees. So legal fees to file probate applications. So all these things that might be incurred, of course, you will deal with it later part. So the other thing is the tax, your income tax. So for those of you who have really owe the income tax before you pass on, doesn't mean that after when we pass away, you don't have to pay tax. Sorry, you still have to pay. So the number one outstanding that you got to pay, the executor has to pay is income tax. So what happens if they don't pay? So next thing is one day income tax. When they trace back the record, nowadays, let me be frank with you. LADN is super aggressive nowadays. It's not aggressive, it's super aggressive. We know how desperate is our government currently. So they'll go after, they'll try their level best to recover the tax as much as possible. So the other one is personal liabilities. So this is what I share with you, housing loan, all the loans. So if your estate have a lot of cash flow to pay all these things, then no problems. But if your estate has only limited cash flow to sustain the family, and after paying all these debts, then you go to think how to cover all this. So actually, I always share with my clients, the best thing is insurance. I'm not selling insurance, but you can always refer to your insurance agents, because insurance is the most direct ways of getting the cash flow. So when someone pass on, at least they have a cash flow to manage to pay all these debt. At least your the family members is able to manage it, their estate. So we have encountered instances many years ago whereby my clients, quite a rich client, asset is 10 million, but the liability is 30 million. So the liability is 3 times of the asset. So the family members have limited cash flow to pay around. So they have no choice but to dispose the asset in a very cheap price. because the family cannot take it anymore. So because every month they have so much to pay. So because they want to dispose it fast, they have to dispose it cheap lah. No choice lah. They are forced to do so. So we hope that one day when we are not around, our family, you don't have to be go to that extent. So of course we have to pre-plan all these things before it happens. So not to forget, your last thing is your household expenses. So your children, your wife need money to sustain for daily life. So all these things. So by doing wills, ladies and gentlemen, you start thinking about all these things. How are you going to cover it? So everyone have their own different way, of course. So some people, they have enough savings, enough cash to do all these things, and no issue. But if for people like us, especially those who are in 30s, we have housing loan, we have car loan, our debt is liabilities is every time, most of the time, more than our asset. So of course, I'm not saying that all of us, but many of us, I would say. So to avoid all these things, it can always be pre-planned properly. Yeah. So okay. So in general, I would like to share with you is, for will drafting, once you have a will, the pro is always more than the cons. The cons is only you have to spend a few $100s. So, but it will really help you to save a lot of your troubles. So when one day you are not around, you are able to give, maybe your family members able to inherit your asset easily and smoothly. Okay, traditional way of will drafting is normally people will go to a lawyer, people will go to a will writer to do the will drafting. But in current advanced technologies, this market, so now we have this platform, what we call Easy Will, whereby you can write the will online. So any one of you can just log in into these platforms and write your own will. Of course, if I believe that most of you are laymen, you will not be able to understand what is a testator, what is a beneficiary, what is executor. But I believe that, I hope that after today's sharing session, you're able to understand and you have a rough idea what to do, and if you want to start to draft your own will. Okay, so next I will pass it to my learned friend Junwei to do the sharing.
Yes, thank you, Lawyer Hao. Good evening, everyone. If any of you have a question regarding on will, please do not hesitate to type your question in the chat box so that Lawyer Hao will answer your question later. Okay, let me go briefly explain what is EasyView. Like just now, like I explained during the opening, EasyView is an online platform. So what EasyView provide, we provide will writing service. Of course, like Lawyer Hao said, if you don't know how to write your will, do contact us. Click the down there, click contact us button. Then we will assign the advisor to assist you in your will writing. Okay, so in EasyView, we have three kind of package: the silver package, gold package, or platinum package, which come from different attributes. But of course, if you think your will arrangement, the thing you want to will away is a little bit complicated, then you have to click the customized package. Then advisors will contact you and help you on the will writing. Okay, so the good thing of EasyView is today when you write a will, let's say you choose a gold package, yeah, you write a will, you pay $699. In future on, let's say we want to rewrite a will, like just now Lawyer Hao said, it is advisable to rewrite your will every 3 to 5, review your will every 3 to 5 years. So why 3 to 5 years? Because it's very common that every 3 to 5 years, we have new additional asset we want to add on. Okay, so when we rewrite a will in EasyView, you will get 50% discount entitlement, which means today you choose a gold package. In future, you want to rewrite again under gold package, you will entitle 50%. Okay, let's say you go package today, then future, oh, I have more things to write now. I want to go for platinum. Then the platinum package, your second will, your platinum package does not entitle 50%. Okay, clear cut? So the 50% is only remain on the same package. So like Lawyer Hao mentioned, testator is the person writing the will, the information, how to key in. The technology are very advanced today. We make it very easily accessible, and just like how you purchase things over the online. Yeah, this is how the outlook, testator, family, executor, like we said, of course, you might not remember what are the executor duty. It is always get an advisor to advise you, because there are few areas you need to consider when you choose your executor. Okay. Then after you key in all the information, step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way down, there will be a summary before you make a payment. So check your summary. If every information there are accurate, then proceed with payment. Of course, the printing service here is have to pay, because this printing service including print and courier to you. Okay, but of course, we also provide custody service. Some people say, if I write my will, then I don't want to keep a house, don't want to keep in my house, or because I don't want to let my children see later they fight over the will. No problem. You have a choice. So you can choose to custody with us, which means keep with us lah. How many years? Then you choose. After, when you click next, then the shipping information, where does we send the will to you? Because you need to sign on your will, ma. It is always like Dr. How, it is always better and sign your will in front 2 of your witness, so they can sign the document together, all together. Okay. And next, when you come to payment part, this is how it looks like. It's exactly the same how you do your online shopping. Okay. Yeah, this is a checkout part and make payment. Then the hard copy bill is printed in this way. Okay, you will receive big parcel. I said we courier to you. So 2 copies of the bill, and we send you a little bit reading, so you understand the importance of the bill and in the society today, especially in the pandemic season now. Okay. Okay. I finished my sharing here, and then let's welcome our next speaker. Tonight, we give a value sharing. The first, earlier on, we share on importance of will and how does the will writing can help you on your estate planning. The second session of today, we are honored to have AdrianYeo Chartered Accounting Firm CEO, Mr. AdrianYeo, on with us. So for his session, he will be sharing on the taxation part. Again, if you have any question, please do not hesitate. Drop your question on the chat box. We will answer to you later. Okay. Mr. Adrian, Cindy.
Hi, yes. Hi, everyone. On behalf of AdrianYeo, so I would like to thank you to our working partners, Lawyer Hao and Chun Wei, here from EasyView, to give a very wonderful session. So I'm Cindy Yu, the Tax Director from AdrianYeo. So in the next 10 minutes, so I will be sharing the stamp duties and the RPGT savings if you have prepared your will. Okay, the first one. Okay, this is the
one moment, yeah, there is a technical glitch here.
I can hear.
Okay, good.
Okay, so sorry. I think it's a bit lag on my side. It's lagging. Okay, as per here, you see Mr. D. Say Mr. D is a pretty rich man. He has 4 properties. Okay, the market value of these 4 properties is about 30 million. Okay, let's see if Mr. D do not have any will, without will. And when he passed away, then only he transferred the properties to his son, for example. Then he managed to get 50% exemption only on the stamp duty. How much stamp duty that he has to pay? You see the figures here. He has to pay about 423,000. And these figures has already after 50% exemption. So if the property market value of property worth about 30 million. So in other situation, what if this Mr. D has prepared a will? Okay, he transferred the properties to the son with the will. So the stamp duty that he need to pay only 40 ringgit. So as you compare 40 ringgit compared to 423,000, so can you see the benefits of the view? You save a lot on the stamp duty, especially you're talking about your net worth have more than 10 million and above. This is talk about the stamp duty. The next one. Okay, the next one then we want to highlight on the real property gain tax. So under what circumstances that we need to pay in short term, you call this as a RPGT. So in one circumstances that we need to pay RPGT. So when we dispose the property, normally the vendor, they need to pay this RPGT, provided that you have incurred a profit when you dispose of your properties. Meaning to say your selling price is higher than your purchase price. So we see this scenario number one, Mr. D. Mr. D stands for daddy, yeah? This Mr. D transfer the properties to the son, Mr. S, as a gift when he alive. That means before he passed away. Then he transferred the property to the son. Let's look at the transaction history. In year 2013, this Mr. D purchased a semi-D at 500,000. Okay, when in year 2016, the son married and he has transferred this property to the son as a wedding gift to the son. But unfortunately, in year 2019, Mr. D passed away. At that point of time, the market value of this property already, okay, worth about 2 million. And then in year 2027, in 2027, the son would like to crystallize some cash, and then the son sell this property to third party at 3 million. Okay, you see? Okay. So the problem is under these circumstances, if Mr. D transferred to the son, Mr. S, okay, does the Mr. D need to pay RPGT or not? If you think the answer is yes, Mr. D need to pay RPGT, then you put in the checkbox, you put 1. If you think Mr. D no need to pay RPGT, then you put in the checkbox 0. So I just do a very survey. Yeah, that means most of you think need to pay RPGT. Okay, so there's a exemption on the RPGT Act. If the father transfer the property to the son, there's a RPGT exemption. That means why? Because there's no value incurred. Okay, so in the situation here, when the daddy, Mr. D, transfer to the son is RPGT exemption. So no need to pay RPGT. But the problem is the subsequent sales of this property. If you are Mr. S and in year 2027, you're going to sell this property to third party at 3 million. So what is your RPGT then? So let's look at it. Your disposal price is 3 million. You sell to the party. But how much is your acquisition price here for the son, Mr. S? You think back, I didn't pay anything to my father. But how much is the acquisition price here? So the acquisition price for the Mr. S is the market value of year 2013. So year 2013 means the father original purchase price, which is only 500,000. So 3 million minus 500,000, how much is the property gain? It's about 2.5 million. That's a lot. Because now under the RPGT Act, if you hold the property even though more than 5 years, under the individual's tax, you are still required to pay 5%. Hence, your RPGT tax, okay, Mr. S need to pay 125,000. Okay, quite heavy the cost. Okay, we look at the next scenario. This is scenario number 2. Okay, this Mr. B, daddy, transfer the son as a gift by view. This daddy very smart. It's the same. In year 2013, Mr. D purchased a semi-D at 500,000. Then year 2019, he says sayonara, okay, to the family. Because the transfer may need some time. So only by year 2020, okay, the property only transferred to the son name. In year 2020, the market value stood at 2 million. 7 years later, the son needs some cash. then he sell the property at 3 million. So you see, what is the differences here? There's no changes when the Mr. D transfer to the son, RPGT still exempted. So no RPGT involved. But what is the differences is when Mr. S sell to the third party, still the same. Disposal price stand at 3 million. The differences is the acquisition price for the son. It's not 500,000 now, but it's 2 million. So what is this 2 million? This 2 million is the market value when the ownership has been transferred to the son name. This is very important. That's why your disposal gain only 1 million. So your RPGT, you only paid 50,000 only. So in summary, in the scenario number 1, the father transferred the property before he passed away. So in the subsequent sales of the son need to pay 125,000. In the second scenario, the father will the property to the son. So on the subsequent sales, the son need to pay RPGT at 50,000, but the disposal price is the same. Okay, so now you have the savings of the RPGT of 75,000. So think about it. So the timing to transfer the properties to your next generation is very important. It's very important. Okay, let's look at this. This is Mr. D. Mr. D passed away on 1st March 2013. And then he appointed the son, Mr. S, as his executor. Beneficiaries could be the daughter, could be the wife, and of course, include the son as well. Mr. D passed away in year 2013, March, right? So before he passed away, he still received the salary for 2 months, January and February. So January and February, 2 months, Mr. D is required to file a Form BE, income tax form, Form BE. We are very familiar with Form B and Form BE. But after Mr. D passed away, so the executor of Mr. D will take over of all the income tax methods, the liabilities and income tax filing. Then the Mr. S is the son, need to file any income, okay, by Mr. D through this Form TP. Why you're thinking no more employment income for Mr. D, but Mr. D still have property which receiving some rental income. So let's say 3 years. So in year 2016, only fully distributed of the estate to all the beneficiaries. Then only from year 2016 onwards, Mr. D is not required to file any form because all this rental income will be found under the respective beneficiary income tax name. So at last, okay, let's look at the tax process for the deceased person. So when someone has passed away, first thing, of course, you need to settle all the funeral and urgency things. But once you settle down, so you have to notify the income tax. So we must notify the income tax by filing a form. And this form we call CP57 together with the death cert. After that, then we apply the TP number. Because the original income tax number cannot be used anymore. So you have to apply the TP number for the deceased individuals. And then the executor will be responsible to file in the form every year until the asset has been fully distributed. And then have to, somehow what we need to do, we have to confirm there's no tax liabilities, no outstanding tax, no backlog tax incurred by the deceased. At last, okay, when everything is settled, upon the fully distribution of the estate, then we can cancel the TP number. Of course, you are not familiar with all this process, then we welcome you to ask your tax agent or you appoint us, AdrianYeo, to handle all this tax for you, for your family. So at last, so I would like to thank, if you would like to draft your view or have any income tax methods, so welcome to visit our Facebook or drop us an email at this email address or call us, our advisor, Cindy. I'm Cindy here. This is my phone number and my colleague as well, Annie. So thank you very much. Then I pass the floor to Adrian. Thanks.
Mr. Adrian? Okay, never mind. Let me take over. All right, guys. Sounds complicated, right? Text file, you really have to do properly. If you don't understand, we welcome you to drop in your question in the chat box. If you still don't understand, never mind. Just now you screenshot the number, right? If you didn't screenshot a number, it's okay. PM Cindy, then she will PM you the number. Okay, then yeah, text file you have to do properly. Listen properly, because why? Our government is very aggressive now. Okay, before I go into the wait, let me see here. Okay, before I go to Q&A, let me share a slide regarding on this. All right, in the chat room, there is a...
Cannot.
Yes.
Can.
Can Jingy, then I pass over to you first.
Adrian, you come here, Adrian. Okay.
Okay, let's have Mr. Adrian.
Hello.
Yes.
Very good evening. I'm AdrianYeo. Thanks. You all have heard the three speakers. Some of you might not be able to grasp the complexity of the talk. So I think here, the message here is, you know, the importance of the will. There's an urgency for most of us, especially those people who are in their 50s, and they have very substantial assets. So this session is correct the awareness and the urgency, just to start it off. You don't need to be perfect. So the important thing is to start it. So to start, have some broad framework on how you want the asset to be distributed to the beneficiaries. Then at the moment, you might not have a lot of ideas, you cannot perfect it, but you start the thinking process. Then you improve as you go along. So don't hesitate, don't wait, don't think too much. Just get on with it. Then the whole thing will flow. As time passes, you got time gradually to improve. Because especially for businessmen, on top of your asset, you have businesses. So there are a lot of technicality and details, how to ensure that you pass on the right assets to the right beneficiaries. So let's get the ball rolling. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adrian. All right, let me share back the screen. Okay, for those who are coming tonight, you will see there is a chat room. There is a link to get the voucher. What the voucher for do? Okay, the voucher, when you fill in the Google form, our admin, my office will send you an email. Okay, the email inside the email, there is a voucher code for you to get 50 ringgit discount on your bill writing. Okay, because this is appreciation thank you for coming tonight. This is the first thing. Don't go first after you claim the voucher. The second thing to do is please go to our Facebook, hit like, because from time to time we will have update and some seminar over the online. The seminar will be we will invite the expert from different industry, so that we hope to give the value to the market from what we have, and we want to share the information to you. Like Mr. Adrian said, you need not to be start perfectly. You just have to start now, and then we slowly improve on it. All right. Okay, let's go to the Q&A tonight. Okay, later I'll post on the Google form again. Let's go to the Q&A tonight. I received a private message. People PM me is asking me that, Lawyer How, if on the view, what's that? Let me read. Lawyer How. Yeah, loh, you PM lawyer how you ask me what? Okay. Okay, lawyer how on the will writing, after we receive the hard copy of the will, do we need to get lawyer to certify the validity?
Oh, no need. You do a view. You don't need to do stamping. You don't need us to certify. So these are common questions. So people might wonder, view have to be stamped by the stamp office in order to make it valid. No such thing. You just put it in. You write whatever which is deed to in the will, and then list down all the asset. Make sure you distribute accordingly to who you want to distribute. Then make sure you sign and you get 2 witnesses, minimum two witnesses to witness your signature. Yeah, that's all. And the will is valid.
Okay, friend, I hope lawyer how answer you. The second question, wow, this one interesting. Lawyer how, like you mentioned, witness cannot be the beneficiary. Can the person who I nominate, the executor, become the guardian too? In other words, can the executor become a guardian also in the will?
Executor can always be the guardian, no issue. No issue.
This one, no issue.
Yeah, but just on the first part that you mentioned, the beneficiary can never be the witness. Otherwise, for that particular clause or gift that the beneficiary is receiving will become void.
Oh, okay. This person further added because she asking this question is because the person is a single mother. So can she? Okay, she is asking the executor. She want to appoint to the sister and the guardian also the sister. Yes, this is how does it work in reality because the husband no longer around. So the sister the mother would appoint the sister to become the executor and become the guardian also to take care of the minor. Yes, this is how the public work. Okay, I hope I answer your question, lady. Okay, this person, the next question, yeah. Regarding on the, this one a bit long. Let me summarize a bit. Okay, lawyer How, there's a question here. When the person have accounts or even asset in overseas, can they write in the will, or do they have to write the will separately in overseas?
Actually, it depends. This one, we are not in position to advise. But if it's a Commonwealth country, generally, you can write in the will. And what we will do is, once you get a grant of it here, we will reseal it in that particular country. But Commonwealth country like Australia, they have Western Australia or South Australia. Each of them, they have a different jurisdiction. So if I'm not mistaken, one of the part they don't actually recognize our grant profit, then they have to reapply the grant profit there. But if you are talking about a communist country like China, other country, better seek legal advice there. Perhaps you might need to write a separate bill there to manage the estate. Because if they don't accept whatever views that you written in Malaysia, then you write in Malaysia, then you're gonna have problems in managing the estate. So it depends. So I would say it depends.
Okay, I hope lawyer answer your question. Okay, there is a chat room open question here, but let me finish the private message first. Otherwise, later I worry I will skip the part. The private PM is asking, how do we ensure the executor will perform the duty as we appoint? Lawyer?
Okay, ensure the executor to perform
the duty. How do you ensure that?
Very hard to ensure. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, no one can ensure that. That's why you have to choose your executor in wisely, based on the character. So if you know that the persons tend to delay work or never serious in doing their work, so better don't appoint him as an executor. Get someone else who is more responsible person. So of course, if someone who is not doing up their work properly, let's say they delay in applying for grant probate for many years. Now, of course, the beneficiary, they have the right to challenge in court and remove him as executor and reappoint another person to be administrator, but that will make things complicated. So we normally don't go into such complicated procedure when we are able to settle the matter in a simple manner.
Actually, in the eye of law, the law deemed to be everyone is in a happy family relationship. So when the conflict arises, that's why we need substitute executor. Okay. Question from Chu. Executor can be beneficiary. Will there be no conflict of interest?
Conflict of interest? Sorry. Okay. No conflict of interest. Basically, they have. Actually, we encourage people to appoint an executor also. They are to appoint an executor who is also a beneficiary. There's no conflict of interest. So they are carrying out their work when people knowing that they are going to get something eventually. So they will be motivated to carry out their jobs ASAP and to do their work. Yeah.
Just like example, today I will away my asset to my wife. So my wife is the executor, as also the beneficiary. So there is no conflict of interest. Okay. Okay. The next question is, after we write the will online, how do we execute later part? Okay, this one let me answer. Okay, when you write the will online, easy view, you got the will copy, right? After you sign, you make the will valid. So upon demise, we easy view also have a service we call estate admin service, just like I showed, which means you can come back to us. We will help you to execute the will to get the GP in the court, or because you got a will is to get the GP in the court. So it is our duty to perform. And we also provide a service for you, saying that now it's the process of getting your probate. After that, this is the transfer fee you needed for properties. What you need to taken care of. What are the listing you need to provide us for us to proceed further. Because in the market, I believe you encounter many different lawyer. The common one is the conveyancing lawyer, litigation lawyer, or maybe intellectual property lawyer. So in EasyView, we have a specialized here is estate lawyer. Lawyer How has been the trusted company for many years. So he is very experienced in extracting the GP and also doing the transfer of properties. So that one, this is what we can provide you, which means you writing the will with us. After that, when a few years later you want to execute your will, we also have this kind of service. You may come back to us. Okay. Okay. A question from Cindy: can we view the liability or the asset always view together with liability? Like how?
Yes. Hardly people view liability unless you hate the person so much. So always is together one. So when you give the asset to someone else, so it comes together with liabilities. So normally we don't separate that. So if you view something to someone, people are happily to accept it. But if you something liability to someone else, I don't think the person will just ignore it.
Yeah, correct. Just like a normal layman is when we have a will, I have like myself, I have a house, but my house is still not fully paid. So it's an asset. Of course, my wife will want the house and also she have to borrow the money to offset the current liability, then pay off the current loan. It's common. It's common. That's why in EasyView, with the earlier slide we show there are statutory deduction you need to take care of. That's why our EasyView, you see, EasyView today is advisors. We have many well-trained advisors. We will advise you when you write your will. Now, say first thing first, we have no intention to know what asset do you have. Okay, but we will advise you, or this house you want to pass to your son. So I want to ask, this house in future you want to sell, or you want to rent, or how? Okay, after you make decision, I will ask, this house is still under liability. Like Lawyer House say, you better to prepare MRTA so that there will be no debt, so your next of kin can inherit the property better, smoothly, I would say. Okay.
Okay, I have a PM question here, whereby this particular question is, the deceased have an account in Singapore. So, okay, the LA of land office recognized. Oh, so long as this administrator is appointed, they can always reseal in Singapore. But they have to appoint a lawyer in Singapore to file the application in court to do the reseal. So it's an administrator appointed. So maybe they have to translate it into English. But I think LA is in English also. So translation may not needed. So but if in Malay, they have to translate, that's all. Yeah. So okay, so back to you, Junwei.
Yeah, I forget to unmute myself. Sorry. Okay. The question here is, what do we need to prepare when we write the will, especially properties? Yes, correct. All right. Well, how do you prepare? Yeah. Okay, first thing first, tonight, after you finish listening the talk, you take out an empty A4 paper to write out whatever you have. Okay, write out whatever you have. I have a house, I have a car, and anything you write out. Anything you can think of, got your name there also, you write out. Then you slowly elaborate, like your house, you got your house a semi located over where, and then the title number. This is the part you have to find. The title number, like Lawyer How earlier on the slide got show, the title number you can be found in your Cukai Tanah, your Quit Rent, or your SMP agreement. There will be a title number there. It is always best to specify clearly and also correctly. We also encounter the house number 39 and then he written 38. Little bit susah. That's why you need to mention the title number in the will so that the lawyer can do things more accurately. Okay, after you write out, you spell out everything, then you start, you go to the easywill.com. Of course, you back to the person who invite you over, then he will assist you in writing your will. Okay, this is how you start. The question here, thank you for your question. Yeah. What if EPF nomination in A, but in will we accidentally nominate B? So which will prevail? Oh, yeah.
Okay, basically, nomination will prevail. So if you have nomination, please do it. Nomination will prevail over the will. So no choice. So that's my answer to it. Okay, I have another question here. They ask these questions is about, okay, do we have to appoint lawyer to execute the bill? Okay, it's a very good question. In fact, a layman also, you can do it if you know how to do it. You know how to draft the cost paper. You know how to do the filing, so they can always proceed to go and do it themselves. But hardly people want to take up the trouble because first thing first, we have a format, a specific format, and we know how to draft the cost paper in a proper manner. Otherwise, the court will just struck off your whole things. So spend a few $1,000s and go and get a lawyer to do it. Pity a lawyer lah. If everyone do themselves, then lawyer kena cari makan. Okay.
Okay. I hope we answer your question. Yeah. Okay. What if we do not know the bank loan details, the bank details or the installment amount, etc.
Not so understand. I don't really understand about this question. The bank's loan account. What does it mean?
That means because the will only will and indicate what is the asset, say a house or property with the address, but didn't mention the liabilities. We may know, the financing bank is from which bank, or the bank loan or accounts, and how much is the installment. Then how to solve this problem?
Okay. Normally, once you apply for the grant of probate, you can actually go to banks, and the banks is supposed to release all the information to you. No problem.
Okay.
Okay, to add on further on this question, yeah, a practical example would say, let's say the person passed away early September, so the September house installment not yet paid, so the will probate application process, which means the will execution process, usually come in 1 or 2 months after the person demise. So in between, I believe the family will receive a letter from the bank saying that, oh, you still owe this amount. Maybe you have forgotten to pay the installment. So from there, you will know that the bank loan details to remind you to pay the loan. Okay, so it is important, you see, today, we city person, a lot of secret. Remember, when upon demise, you better make sure your family member know how to access your email. Okay, know how to access your email, because in your email, there are a lot of important information. And importantly, they must able to access your phone. You see, the phone here is no screen one, but it's important to let your wife know the password later on. You write it somewhere, at least they can access. Because now internet banking, you have to get your password over the phone. So you write down somewhere so that they can do work for you later on. Okay, it's always best to write down. But now you keep it secret place first. After you no longer here, then the wife will know where to get. Okay, from Chu. EasyView provide will writing service online, correct? Does EasyView also offer service as executor? If yes, how much the executor fee? Okay, to answer this question, EasyView, we are not trustee company, so we cannot provide executor service, which means we can only write the view here. If to get the executor service, you have to go to trustee company. But of course, would like to tell you first, the executor fee are not cheap. The public executor, the public trustee, which means Amanah Raya, the fee, they are available over the online. You can search over there. Okay, it is always, like we said, for a normal layman like us, it is best to write your will upon your own executor, the most trusted person next to you. Yes, lawyer, how?
Sorry, we are. Sorry, what question are you?
No.
I was answering a question.
I'll pass the floor to you.
Okay. Okay, my side, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, my side also no more question already.
Okay.
Cindy, is anyone PM you over there?
No.
No, yeah.
No.
Okay, let me copy paste this again. So before we end, okay, remember to click the link to claim your 50 ringgit discount voucher. Okay, so after you get the voucher code, back to the person invite you, then let them assist on your will writing. And the best part of EasyView is, if you don't want to let the person know so much about you, they could also send the link to you. You do the will yourself, so that no one know your item. Don't worry, we keep the secret part to yourself. Okay. Then the second part is, there is a link here. Wait. Okay. Also click hit a like on our Facebook. So time to time we will post some update and also seminar over the online. So you are welcome to join us on the online seminar. Okay. So my side, no more question. Then we shall end our meeting tonight. Okay. Thank you, Lawyer Hao, for coming, and also thank you, AdrianYeo, for such a wonderful sharing. I hope everyone get the value of this tonight.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.